Have you ever noticed how your mind is constantly overwhelmed with worries? Bills to pay, work problems, relationship challenges. It feels like there's never a moment of peace. Modern life throws us into a whirlwind of anxiety, and the worst part is that many people accept this as normal. But what if I told you that this endless cycle of worry isn't just unnecessary, it's actually a choice? The problem is that we've been conditioned to believe that worrying gives us control, but in reality, it only traps us. Jesus gives us a clear answer in Matthew 6, verses 25 to 27, where he reminds us that God takes care of every detail in creation, from the birds in the sky to the lilies in the field, and if he provides for them, how much more will he take care of us? So why should we live consumed by anxiety? What does this mean in practice? It means there is a real and accessible way to find inner peace, and it starts with trust and surrender to God. When you learn to release your worries and truly rely on God's care, you can break free from the burden that's been draining your energy. This isn't just an abstract idea, it's a powerful principle that can transform your life in a real and tangible way. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. So if you're ready for real change, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here we discuss spiritual growth, Christian reflections, and biblical wisdom for your daily life. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to surrender your worries to God? Type, "I trust in God," and let's walk this path to freedom and peace together. Never before in history have people had so much access to information. But instead of bringing peace, this flood of data has fueled a vicious cycle of anxiety and worry. Every negative headline makes your heart race. Bills pile up, unexpected health issues arise, work challenges demand attention. Everything seems to scream for your focus at the same time. Without realizing it, many people live in a constant state of alert, always bracing for the next problem. But is this really normal? Were we created to live this way? Worry acts like a mental parasite, draining your energy and preventing you from living fully. Have you ever noticed how a single negative thought can ruin your entire day? You could be spending time with your family, trying to relax, but your mind is elsewhere, calculating expenses, anticipating bad news, replaying past arguments. This suffocating cycle steals your peace and weakens your trust in God because it places control over every situation entirely in human hands, as if everything depended solely on your effort. And anxiety, like a silent thief, doesn't just rob you of the present, it steals your future too. Many people miss out on opportunities, hold back from pursuing their dreams, and even avoid moments of joy because they're trapped in the fear of what could go wrong. But what if there were another way? What if, instead of carrying all this weight alone, you could hand over your worries to someone greater? It may seem hard to believe, but worry is often a choice. Many people live as if they're chained to their problems, convinced that anxiety is the only option. But does worrying ever solve anything? Does stressing about tomorrow pay today's bills? Does it cure any illness? Does it bring peace? No. In fact, worry only wears down the mind and heart, making the burden even heavier. So if worrying changes nothing, but letting go changes everything, what will you choose? Picture someone holding a bucket filled with water. At first it seems light, but over time their arms begin to shake, their muscles ache, and the weight becomes unbearable. The only way to relieve the pain is to let go of the bucket. Worry works the same way. The longer you hold on to it, the more you suffer. But what if, instead of carrying it alone, you learn to trust and surrender that burden to God? That simple act can completely change your perspective and bring real emotional relief. This doesn't mean living irresponsibly or ignoring life's challenges. It's about choosing where to place your focus. What's wiser? Spending your energy trying to control the uncontrollable, or using that same energy to strengthen your faith and build true trust in God? The good news is that there is another way. And this way isn't built on fear, it's built on surrender. And when you truly surrender, something extraordinary begins to change within you. Worrying is easy, but trusting is a choice. Anxiety makes people believe that everything depends on them, that every little detail must be controlled to keep things from going wrong. But the truth is, no one has absolute control, and trying to have it only leads to more frustration. When someone truly trusts God, they realize they don't have to hold everything together on their own. God sees what we don't, takes care of what we can't reach, and knows exactly what's best, even when circumstances seem to say otherwise. Think of a small child holding their father's hand while crossing the street. The child doesn't need to understand traffic, calculate risks, or predict what might happen. They simply trust. And why? Because they know their father loves them and would never let anything bad happen. Now, if an earthly father can inspire that kind of trust, how much more can God, who is perfect and knows all things? Trusting him means letting go of the illusion of control and resting in the certainty that he is in charge. This trust in God doesn't mean a life without problems, but it does mean a life filled with peace. Even in the middle of chaos, there is an unshakable confidence that he is taking care of every detail. Those who learn to trust live with greater ease because they don't have to carry the weight of figuring everything out alone. Their hearts are calmer, their thoughts are clearer, and their souls find rest. But if this promise of peace is available, why do so many still live in constant turmoil? The answer may lie in how they view their own needs. Jesus was very clear when he said, "Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes?" Matthew 6, verse 25. He used simple but profound examples. If God takes care of the birds, who don't plant or harvest, and the flowers of the field, who don't work or make their own clothing, how much more will he take care of his beloved children? Worrying doesn't add a single day to life, so why let it steal your peace? When you look at nature, God's care is undeniable. No bird wakes up in a panic, wondering where to find food. It simply flies, does its part, and the provision comes. And what about flowers? They don't struggle to be beautiful. They just grow at the right time, adorned by God in a way no designer could ever replicate. If creation is sustained in this way, do you really think that human beings, made in God's image, have been forgotten? But trusting God doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for everything to fall into place on its own. Jesus never taught laziness, he taught faith. Our part is to put in the effort and do what we can, but without carrying a burden that was never meant for us. Anxiety becomes a problem when we try to take God's role, as if everything depends on our own strength. But when we let go of that weight and learn to trust, a whole new perspective opens up, and that changes everything. The way you see life completely shapes the way you live. For those who view everything through the lens of anxiety, every challenge feels like an uncontrollable threat. But those who learn to trust in God develop a spiritual perspective that brings peace, even when circumstances are less than ideal. Instead of seeing problems, they start seeing opportunities for growth. Instead of panicking over the unknown, they remember that God is already in the future and has everything under control. This isn't just a theory. It's a practical shift that changes how a person thinks, acts, and feels. A real-life example: two people can go through the same difficult situation and react in completely different ways. One panics, loses sleep, and drowns in worry. The other prays, surrenders it to God, and trusts that in the right time the solution will come. Which one lives better? Which one suffers less? The answer is obvious. Faith doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means choosing to face them with the certainty that God is in control. And that decision makes all the difference. Changing your perspective doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with small steps. A simple yet powerful practice is replacing every worried thought with a prayer. Instead of feeding fear, strengthen your faith. Another way is to surround yourself with biblical truth, reading and meditating on passages that reinforce trust in God. When this new mindset becomes a habit, anxiety loses its grip and life becomes lighter. After all, if God has already promised to take care of you, why keep carrying unnecessary burdens? Now that you understand the unnecessary burden that worry places on your life, the big question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep feeding anxiety, or will you choose to trust God and experience true peace? The decision is in your hands. Letting go of control may be challenging, but that's exactly what brings freedom. After all, if God has already promised to take care of you, why insist on carrying this burden alone? Take a moment to reflect on how you've been handling your worries. Have you truly surrendered everything to God in prayer? Or have you only spoken to Him while still holding fear in your heart? Transformation through faith happens when we move beyond just agreeing with God's word and start living it. So why not start now? Today, instead of drowning in anxiety, kneel in prayer and give it all to God. And after that, trust Him. If this message resonated with you, share in the comments what you find most difficult about surrendering your worries to God. Your experience may encourage others who are going through the same journey. And if you want to keep learning about faith, trusting God, and overcoming anxiety, check out the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss more faith-filled reflections to strengthen your spiritual journey. I hope you're doing well. May God bless you and your family. See you in the next video.